All right, YouTube, it's time for sort of a New Year's 2015 year in review video, as well as upcoming stuff that's going to be on the channel in 2016. Assuming I don't die in my sleep tonight or something. It's like, oh, you almost made it. You get a runners up prize or something like that. I promised that I didn't drink enough caffeine to kill an elephant today. But anyway, 2015 overall, as far as most of the world is concerned, it was a fucking shit year. You've got terrorism rising. You've got more and more corruption in government. It's beginning to be more openly corrupt now, as opposed to when they used to try to at least thinly veil what they were doing wrong. Now it's sort of just out in the open. People are so, ass blasted by it, they don't even fucking do anything anymore. Terrorism, economic downturns, social unrest all over the world, terrorism, you name it, and you've got it for 2015. Plus, the world didn't end. That made me sad. For me, it's been a pretty damn good year, though, I'll tell you that much. My writing, editing, illustrating, all the stuff that I'm doing is picked up. My channel's picking up steam. I've now branched out somewhat more into other forms of media. So for me, it's been a pretty good year, and I'm looking forward to 2016. For many people, they're not really looking forward to it because they're like, oh shit, people on the right are like, oh, we got another year of Obama to suffer under. People on the left are shitting bullets at this point, sweating bullets and shitting bullets because they're very worried that their next president's going to be Donald Trump or something. I just sit back and laugh at them because I don't care at this point. But it's going to be pretty funny. Of course, this next year, we've got an election going on. A presidential election, not like, oh, Congress is, we've got congressional races. No one really cares about that. They should, but many people don't. Turnout tends to be far lower. So we're going to have all the politics stuff starting literally tomorrow. That's when it really, if you think it's been in high gear already with political drama, it's going to be far, far more pronounced come tomorrow morning, basically. As soon as people shake off the hangovers, they're immediately going to launch right into, oh, the primaries are coming in February. I think like the 1st of February is Iowa for the GOP, which Ted Cruz, again, I believe will win. And if he doesn't, then he's fucked himself in the ball sack at that point. But yeah, there's going to be plenty of political drama. We're probably going to see more government corruption breaking. Just last night, of course, Congress got spied on by the NSA. I had a premonition a couple days ago where I had a weird dream where I was looking at the RCP average charts, and Obama was down at sub-Nixon levels, so maybe that's, some otherworldly force telling me something's up, but, we'll see if that actually happens. At this point, he's a lame duck anyway. We also know he's going to go after attempting to use executive action for gun control, which he can actually do. Many states will immediately sue him. Most of Congress will immediately try to launch an attack on whatever executive action he passes, and it will be, it will die off pretty quickly. The court system will strike it down because the states will take up the cases. And it'll be funny because once again, he'll go and sulk in a corner and pretend that the big bad mean Congress and the big bad mean states were just being racist to him, and that he was a glorious, glowing Martin Luther King style angel of common sense, which is a bunch of bullshit, but it'll be funny to see. I can't wait to see what the next Supreme Court cases will be, but I think we should look back at 2015 and we should choose, who's the moron of the year? There are a lot of fucking morons to choose from. You could say al-Baghdadi from ISIS is one of the morons of the year, because, conducting attacks on multiple nations is a great way to make sure that a coalition against you forms. So he gets a Moron of the Year award. Obama, of course, gets a Moron of the Year award because virtually nothing that he's done in the last 364 days has actually done anything. He has basically just pandered his way through the year and frittered away his time pretending that he's still relevant. Boehner and, I would argue, Paul Ryan now get Moron of the Year. Paul Ryan even more so because of the budget deal that it's just so far out there. It's like, what the fuck was he even thinking? Now his own party's lambasting him. Didn't even take him nearly as long as it did with Boehner for the charm effect to wear off. Hillary gets a Moron of the Year award because we all know she's a fucking moron. But I think Chris Christie also gets one. He's the biggest state police state jerk off that I think I've ever seen in all of my living days. I mean, he's so far out there, it's not even funny. The fact that he's running third in a libertarian state like New Hampshire is slightly troubling. Thankfully, I think there's a cap on how much support he can garner because of his big police state views. So fat ass Chris Christie, who has his own gravitational pull, hopefully after the first 3 or 4 states will drop out and never be heard from again and just retire to a private life or go fucking back to New Jersey and go eat more $60,000 a year free food that he gets from the taxpayers there. You know, he practically caused the state's recession on his own because of his fucking eating habits. Like, you could literally you could feed 10 or 20 families with the amount of food that he fucking eats. That's just fucking sad. And then he tried to lose weight for the presidential right. Now he's ballooned back up because he can't keep up a diet. I mean, for him, walking up a single flight of stairs is difficult. So fuck Chris Christie's probably the biggest moron of them all. Erdogan from Turkey gets moron of the year award as well. I think we all know why. He's managed to piss off everybody in his country and everyone in every surrounding nation while cobbling together some weird bastardized union between nationalists that don't appear to understand he's not a nationalist, certainly no Ataturk, and secular groups that are more worried about the Kurds, I guess, or something. I don't know where all of his support's coming from. Must be a bunch of fucking morons. No, but he gets a Moron of the Year award. Let's see who else. Oh, Kim Jong-un would get a Moron of the Year award because, I mean, he's continuing to do the same shit. But then again, North Korea has won that award since the 1950s, so there's not much to be said about that. It's just sort of a perennial thing that we can gift them with because they never win anything else. Putin gets a Moron of the Year award for trying to throw his weight around, and now it's becoming increasingly clear that Russia's not exactly the big grizzly bear so much as the teddy bear in foreign affairs. They've had some continual problems going on with their military strikes, and despite the fact that they're conducting so many strikes and laughing it up about how weak DC supposedly is, their strikes don't appear to be doing much better than those launched by the US or France. In fact, the French are probably kicking more ass than the Russians or the United States at this point, which is very, very funny given the French reputation in foreign theaters of combat in the last century or so. You'd think of World War II. You would think of World War I. You know, it's a little bit of a problem for the modern-day French state that they didn't have in the Napoleonic era. But yeah, there you go, some morons of the year. Oh yeah, and fucking, I probably can't even pronounce his fucking name, but the premier of China, the Communist Party head there, for basically destroying his own nation by building more and more coal power plants, and then wondering, well, why is there so much pollution? Why are people vacuuming it and making bricks out of it? You could probably use those bricks as construction material if you tried, but I don't want to give the Chinese any ideas because they'll probably be stupid enough to actually do it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Peter Shumlin, my own governor, he gets a Moron of the Year award. This is more, you know, most people in the world don't know who he is. Most people in the U.S. don't care even about my state's existence. But our own governor gets Moron award because he attempted to implement single-payer health care in the state. And it didn't work. It turns out that the study that he funded, which, I mean, that cost us several $1 million just to perform a fucking study to see if it was feasible. Turns out it would actually be far more than we can reasonably spend. Like, you're talking, let's double the tax rate to pay for this program and end up not having a state. Someone else will have to buy the state when we go broke because nobody will live there, and then you won't have any fucking tax revenue. You know, you wouldn't have anyone under 50 living in the fucking state if a single payer had been implemented. Then he shut it down, and then oddly enough, like, hardliners within the Democratic Party actually went after him. I thought, you know, what other choice did he have? He realized that taxes would have to skyrocket in order to pay for this, so he scrapped the plan. Then he barely won re-election. Technically, he shouldn't have. Milnes should have technically been the governor because in a majority of counties, with a majority of the seats, Milnes actually won. The fact that Shumlin had a higher popular vote percentage should not technically have mattered in our state house because those delegates are supposed to vote the way that their county votes. Well, most of the counties voted for the Republican challenger, not for Peter Shumlin. That was a little bit of a fiasco for us here in this state, a little more drama than we're used to. Usually we have a fairly clean campaign, but Shumlin was expected to win handily, and he wins like by a couple thousand votes. It was actually pretty funny. And so he's not seeking re-election, so at least our moron of the year here in Vermont won't be returning after his term is over. Good riddance. His nose is bigger than the rest of his body. He has some severe fucking problems. He's been basically one of those quiet, mumbly governors that doesn't really do anything. When he does try to pass something big, which was single payer, he fails utterly at it. What we need is another like Jim Douglas, because Jim Douglas also did very, very little, but at least he didn't try to fritter away all of our fucking money. Even like a Howard Dean would be better than a Peter Shumlin. And Howard Dean was that bombastic, yee-haw, fiery stump speech dude who fucked up his own presidential campaign when he was, at one time, the leader in all of the polls. And then we saw how that worked out. Maybe Bush wouldn't have been our president if our former governor, Howard Dean, then also former head of the DNC, wasn't such a fucking dumbass and didn't try to rave and rant like fucking Adolf Hitler up on stage. Really brought a lot of shame to Vermont, by the way. He was a laughing stock in this state. Hopefully he fucking stays out of this state as much as possible. Nobody around here wants to fucking see his ass. But yeah, there you go. 2015 in review. We've had a lot of goofy drama this year, and I fully expect 2016 will probably be even more crazy than 2015 was. So buckle up tight, folks, because it's going to get even bumpier down the road. As far as I'm concerned, though, I'm doing just fine. In fact, I'm ahead of where I expected to be in most measures of my success that I've applied to myself. That's the writing, the monetary end, where I would be on YouTube as far as reaching out to more and more people. I'm way ahead of where I expected to be in all of those measures. I feel just fine about the way things are going. And when things go wrong, it doesn't really affect me, because I realize most of these things that go wrong are very remote. They don't really affect people who work for themselves in many cases. I don't need cultural stability in order to survive. In fact, I would probably operate better without cultural stability. I don't really care if people are scared. I don't really care what laws they pass. They don't really matter. At the end of the day, they're all cloistered in D.C., drinking and having their fucking orgies, and all these terrorists, most of them are in the Middle East. The ones that do make it over here, they make it over here because the government's stupid. There's nothing the fucking government can do about it. That's why they're going after the Second Amendment, because they don't want private citizens to be able to air out the terrorists, because they know it'll make the government look fucking bad when it turns out the government can't do fucking anything on its own. Yeah, there you go, 2015 review. So happy New Year. New Year's Eve right now, not New Year's. We can watch the ball drop. Watch Sticks, Hex, and Hammer's balls drop maybe too. I don't know, go on Omegle and fucking do a meat spin on there like I used to do. Little do people know I actually did that back in the day to troll people. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Didn't show my face, so I mean, you wouldn't have known it was my balls flying around in a circle. But yeah, I used to troll people like that. I thought it was great fun. I was drunk at the time. You know, that was back during the sort of more pro-drug days. But it was great. Trust me. Those were good times, man. Sometimes I wish that they would come back, but no, that's no cigar on that one. It's time to buckle down and do actual work, the writing, and making videos that are more coherent than what I did when I was, stoned and drunk most of the time. So there you go. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2016 in a few hours. I'm going to go RuneScape, because after all the work I've done, I fucking deserved it. Also, one quick update. I am translating a version of the Little Albert, which is a French grimoire. The only English version available is a hardcover, limited sort of edition copy. I'm going to make my own fucking translation. I took French in high school. I know just enough of it to basically understand what it's saying, but I can't really speak and understand French. Like, if somebody who's from France or, Quebec or something is talking to me, I don't have a clue what they're saying. But if I'm reading it on paper, I can work my way through it. With the use of a French-English dictionary, it's a lot easier. Because it's centuries old, there is some archaic language. When you translate it, it actually almost comes out as Old English, because some of the word usage is antiquated. That's a little bit of a problem, but I am slugging through it. I did the headers first. The understanding is if you properly translate the headers to the sections, which are 1 or 2 paragraphs long for most of them, it's folk magic for the most part. I mean, it's the whole cat's head boiled on the stove sort of magic. It's kind of diabolical. I think many people will enjoy it. Um, if you translate the header and you know that the translation is proper, you've done it properly, and the text that you then translate for the section doesn't actually appear to coincide with what the header is, you know that your translation of that section is wrong. And it's a lot quicker to translate the header because it's only a few words, or at most a sentence or two. Therefore, you know you have to go back and rework it. You've done something wrong. You've misconstrued a word, or there was a typo in the original text, which sometimes happens with old manuscripts. And so it's going to take a while. I'm on page 10. It's about 100 pages long, so it will take me some time, and then I have to illustrate it. But I will get it done. It's not insurmountable. I am capable of translating French to some degree. Obviously, I need the dictionary for some of the more advanced grammar, but I've got a good enough grasp on reading and writing French that I can work through that. So that'll be released. That's probably going to end up being the second most popular grimoire I've edited after the Grand Grimoire itself. Like, this is like beyond Black Pullet levels of notorious. It's one of the more, it's like Grimorium Verum in its diabolical nature, but it's closer to the Rosary of the Philosophers in length. It's quite long compared to some of them. So I hope people enjoy that. And then I've got a whole slew of other works lined up. I'm not even going to bother getting into them now because I've got to do the Little Albert first. I'll do that, I'll release that, and then we can get to the rest. I've got enough work lined up to take me at least halfway through 2016. That's about all, and for the last time in 2015, peace out.